Hi, it's Liz from Lohas Canada. Wanted to show you the finished object. Ta-da! So this is a Dragonhoard design. This is the half moon tee. So I used, you can see there's a motif up here. And in the original pattern, it did have 3 colors. I opted for 2, just to make things easier. I also forgot, because I was alternating colors and I was using the gray for my 3rd color as well. I forgot to close, I think it's, what is this motif? So this motif is supposed to be closed at the bottom and it's open. So there's not supposed to be blue, or there's supposed to be blue coming up, but it was supposed to be a boxed blue. So that was just my mistake. So the yarn is from Small Bird Workshop, and she's based in Nanaimo. So I'm based on Vancouver Island, so she's about half an hour away for me. It's a 4-ply fingering, 100% merino, non-superwash. It's from her Elder collection. It's 420 yards. I used 2 balls of the blue. The blue is called Twilight, and then this gray, which I have lots left over, is called Lichen. So this is a top-down garment, which is really great because in the pattern it is very, very cropped, and much too cropped for me. Because it has 100% merino, I knew I was going to be wearing it close to my skin. I wasn't going to wear a shirt underneath it or anything. So I knew I wanted to make it a t-shirt and add some more length. So, and also in her pattern, she does have the sleeves going down extra on both sides with some motif. I opted not to do that. I just really like this really short look, and I also wanted to use up all the blue yarn for the length of the body. So with this yarn, I did a test swatch, and I was using 3.5mm needles, and I didn't do the test swatch in the round, but the garment's in the round. So I was able to get, I thought I was getting like 27 stitches, and it's supposed to be 24. So I was thinking, you know what, I'll do the smallest size. It'll be fine. It'll be a nice loose t-shirt and everything. And I didn't wash it, and I think that might be my problem because it has definitely shrunk up from the bottom from when I originally, before I blocked it. So I think that's just my mistake of not washing my test swatch. But it is definitely a little bit tight. I should have did a loose bind off for the arms. If I was just going to knit the rest of the arms, I would have just not bound it off, obviously. So I think that's just something, I can always pick it out and do a loose bind off. It's not that big of a deal, and it's not that tight. So it tells you to use a smaller needle size for your neck, and then you can do the same one for like the motif, because usually when you do color work, it sinks in and shrinks in a different size, so you want it to kind of match. So what I did with my test swatch, instead of my math, I like to have really simple and easy math. So I was thinking with my test swatch, I just took 1 inch. What is 1 inch? So say 1 inch is 5 stitches. Then I'll be like, okay, well my neck is say 14 inches. So if it's 5 stitches to the 14 inches, then that's how many stitches I need. And from that, I determined that if I went down a needle size, this would be way too tight. So this is already, you can see, is pretty tight fitting on me. I mean, it's not like choking me tight, but it is up to my neck, right? And I haven't worn this a ton, so maybe it'll loosen up once I start to wear it more, but it is definitely tight up to the neck. So I'm glad I did not go down a needle size for this. I did not change my needle size at all. So that's maybe why. It's also a little bit tight across the chest, not uncomfortable, but it is color work, and it was also my very first color work garment that I made that I am wearing. So you can kind of see it's definitely a lot thicker up here than and a lot more drapier down at the bottom. So you can see it has a lot more structure and a lot more form. When I was knitting it and when I tried it on, there was this little, and I don't know if it's just the pattern or maybe how it's sitting on my neck, but there was this little bump. And I was able to kind of block it out. I don't think it's really doing too, it has a little bump. So I know that this is the back and this is the front. So I don't know if it's just the pattern coming together, or maybe it's because I'm hunching so much that I have a hunchback and it's folding it up a little bit, or if it's just how maybe my stitches are so tight that it's squeezing them a little bit together. So you do want to make sure you're not a super tight knitter for this pattern. I would say, because you do want it to go smoothly across your chest. So if you're getting little bumps and wrinkles, those will probably block out, hopefully, but that you're able to get it a bit. But if you're pulling or anything like that when you're knitting, not very good. That being said, I think it also has to do with your floats. So for some of these motifs, there are floats that you want to make sure that you twist your yarn and make sure that you only have 3 or 4 stitches in between, so you're not twisting, so you're twisting the yarn as you go, and that will really help with the scrunching up or anything. So if you're not doing that, so you can see my floats are pretty even. So these ones are really small because that's how the motif is, but these ones that are much longer, I am catching my floats. So you want to make sure that after 3 or 4 stitches, even if you don't have that, even if that yarn, you're not knitting it and it's like you're knitting 7 stitches or something, you want to make sure, okay, after 3 stitches, I'll just twist my yarn so it's carrying the yarn forward. So you're not carrying it over those 7 floats or 7 stitches. You want to carry it forward. And I think that's what really has helped to make it stay really flat. It does take longer. Like, it did take me a long time to do the motif, just because A, it's your first time doing color work, and also because you do have to cross over your stitches and carry your floats for this to be able to sit a bit flatter. And because it's so prominent on your chest area, you do want to make sure that it's, you know, laying flat and that it's not going to be bunching up because of those long carried floats. So the other thing was, so I knitted it and I was like, you know what, I have, I think I had like half a ball left and I was feeling good. I was feeling good about the length. I was like, I like this length, you know, I don't want it super cropped because I don't really wear high-waisted jeans, but it doesn't have to be like, you know, super long and baggy. So I was feeling good and thinking, you know what, I could even possibly do like sleeves, like full-length sleeves or something with how much yarn I had left over. So anyhow, I just decided, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to bind it off and I'm going to wear it. And I think I've even blocked it. And I tried it on and, you know, I was holding it up to myself and I was even trying to, like, you know, make sure I was up high enough because this neck is quite high and you want to make sure it's up on the shoulders. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, it's going to go down to my hip. This is perfect. So I bound it off, blocked it, washed it, did all that stuff, put it back on, and it literally was like up to here on me. So that was not great. I think what also was happening is because it's fingering and I was using metal needles and it was a plastic cord, but some of that weight I think was also pulling the fibers of it down when I was putting it on myself. So it was giving it a little bit of a sense that it was longer than I thought it was. And then I put it back on my needles and then just knit until the ball was done. And it's still kind of short, as you can see. So here's my belly button. And it's a little bit, it's a high-low, it's kind of peeking up on here. But it might be also because of my hunchback. I don't have a medical condition or anything, but definitely was sitting at a computer for so long and also knitting and stuff, you know, you tend to roll in. So that could be a factor as well. But I would have liked it probably maybe if it was just like a normal t-shirt, because it does ride up probably about 2 inches at the back. I would like to have had it a bit longer. But that's just, you know, it's a comfortable length. I don't have any problem with it. It's just, it has absolutely, with the motif, it has no give. So it's very, very like, you pull it down and this will spring back up and stay. So there's no like drapiness to that or anything, which is really great because then it'll stay in place and I feel secure and everything. I feel like this isn't going to go anywhere or anything like that. So I do like those aspects. I would just wish I made it a little bit longer or had an extra ball of yarn, which could be easily remedied. So for this whole piece, I did knit it with a 3.5mm needles, and I didn't switch it at all. I could have also done some shaping at the body if you really wanted to make it longer and keep the motif. This motif, yeah, I think it worked out. I mean, it's my first color work garment, like I said, so it's going to have a look. It's not going to be perfect, but I really like it. I love this color, this twilight color it's called, and then this lichen color. I think I'll probably be getting this lichen color again because it's just such a beautiful color, and be able to do some more garments. But because it's fingering, it did take me a while because I've never done color work before. The motif took me a long while, and then stockinette with fingering is just a mindless process. But and it was also nice that like once you were done the motif and you split for your arms, and it's just stockinette the rest of the way down, it was actually quite enjoyable. I really like stockinette where it gets just to do mindless knitting. Sometimes I just get too overwhelmed with other things in my life, and then, you know, just having to do, okay, I have to figure this out, and then just having something very simple was very enjoyable. And then at the bottom, I think I've been really liking this knit to purl 1 ribbing. So I've been using it for a bunch of socks, and I really like the top of it. So just something really small. It doesn't roll up, or it doesn't seem to. I think I blocked it pretty well on that. And yeah, I think it looks fabulous, and I can't wait to make more. And I think it's also a really great, like, you don't have to do this motif. You can adapt this pattern. I think it's very adaptable, where you could have just, you could just do stockinette the entire way. With this, I also forgot when I was doing my swatch, usually because the other garment that I've knitted, it was in pieces, and I could figure out the length of it. But with motifs, I also forgot that I need to measure how long it is, because if it's longer, your motif is going to be longer too. So I actually haven't checked that, but I did have this epiphany when I was like knitting and being like, oh yeah, I should have measured how long it is, because usually you just knit, and if you're like, oh well, it's just the, you know, I'll knit it until I like the length. But with a motif, if it's also longer here, it's gonna stretch it out, and you don't want to get it too far or too short. So just a lot of things to think about color work. I would say if you are a beginner, this would be a beginner friendly pattern. She writes it in a way where it's like step 1, step 2, step 3. There's no assumptions put in there. So the color work has a chart. I can't remember if it does also have writing, but the chart is very easy to follow because you're able just to be like, okay, and you just repeat it. So it's a very easy one to follow, and you can do as many motifs as you want or exclude them. So it's kind of up to your choice of how you're feeling. But I'd say this is a beginner friendly pattern if you're wanting to try color work. If this is like your very first sweater, it might be a little bit daunting just because you are trying to figure out the construction of it and then also the color work part of it. But if you're an adventurous beginner, that's also a possibility. But the way that she has laid it out is very simple, is very easy to understand. I don't think I had to, she even had some great descriptions about some of the abbreviations and everything, and I don't think I had to look up any of it. Sometimes I do have to look up, okay, what does this abbreviation mean, and how do I use it? With her, it was all included in the pattern, and it was just very user friendly. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that because it was hand dyed 100% merino from a local person, I did alternate my skein, so I wasn't getting a harsh striping effect or blocking effect, that they were alternated, and that was important, I think, because then it has more of a gradual flux all over rather than just big chunks of where you're switching your yarn, or one yarn stops and the other one begins. So if you enjoy this pattern, I would highly recommend it. So I hope you are having a great day, and I will talk to you later. Bye!